Having no friends. Having no friends is the silent epidemic that we're all facing. It seems to be pretty normalized that people on social media or whatever talk about not having any friends. There's like analysis videos of why Gen Z has no friends, how to make friends, all this stuff. And it's like such a big problem. Like, it's not like just your socially awkward person who doesn't know how to communicate. It's like everyone. Why is this a thing? Why are we seeing this as a thing? I have my opinions on it. I'm going to rant a little bit, and please share your opinions because I am so curious to know how other people view this issue. I really, really am. My take on it is that basically, with the introduction of social media and smartphones and the pandemic, our socialization has completely shifted. That actually isn't too controversial of a statement because throughout history, socialization has taken on like different forms. Back in the day, there was like a set of social norms where this was like the era of the gentleman, right? They would open a door for a lady, they would like pull out her chair when she would go to sit down to eat. All these things were like these conditions that they would do, and that was just how people socialized back then. Times changed, and then those things fell away. So nowadays, well, some of the socializing that we see today wasn't the socializing of even, I don't know, maybe like pre-pandemic. And the thing with it, I think, is because there's now so much of our socialization that comes from social media. And there's, first there was Instagram, and then, well, Twitter was kind of already a thing, and then there was Instagram, and then now Facebook has upped its game, I think, and then there's TikTok. And so I feel like with the introduction of new social media platforms, it's only made the change accelerate even more, if that makes sense. Maybe not, I don't know. I just be saying stuff. But it's just this really interesting thing where social media and our phones in general dictate a lot of our socialization. Because of the introduction of it, I feel like it's shifted us completely, and it's the way in which we're normalizing socializing with people. I also believe that so that's actually social media and then just being on our phones in general. I remember pre-TikTok when almost everyone had a smartphone, but there wasn't there wasn't as many social media platforms, I guess, and Instagram wasn't like as advanced as it is now. People had this other really weird socialization habit where it almost felt like they wanted like constant like access to you. I don't know if anyone else remembers that kind of era, but that was either during the pandemic, or like a little bit before, or maybe before and during, can't recall. But what ended up like happening was it's just like people it just seemed like, they would text and double text and maybe send you a voicemail and like message you on DMs on Instagram and like all this stuff, and it's like whoa, and send you an email. At least I don't know, that is something I experienced. And then I had heard it from other people that it was just like there's just this constant, or this idea of like having constant access to people, and it's overwhelming. And then there was kind of a shift with social medias becoming more, I guess, advanced and entertaining, where now, at least for me, a lot of socialization for people around my age, I'm actually like, I believe like a late millennial, really, really like right on the cusper. Um, where now most of the socialization, or the expected socialization, comes from being on social media. So social media, being on the phone in general, or smartphones in general. And then also I feel like the pandemic also played a major role in this shift. Um, because obviously we were all isolated for, like, honestly, what? I know it started in 2020, but it seemed like it kind of lasted really until 2022. But at least from 2020 to 2021. The reason why I mention all these things is because, like I said earlier, societal norms and how people socialize has always changed, but it just feels like it's just so rapidly changed um through the introduction of technology and all that jazz. So for me, what I have noticed is what seems like an increase in really wanting to communicate with people only or mostly primarily through social media, apart from anything else. I have noticed when I was talking about that or no, whoa, getting ahead of myself. When I was talking about that constant access era, when there was kind of that shift from that to like communicating a lot more through social media, it was like I would talk to friends and it would be normalized to talk to them through the phone, and then every once in a while, you check Instagram and then it's like, oh, you sent me this DM or whatever. It wouldn't be like the main conversation. It would be like in addition. And then somewhere along the lines that changed to where, at least for me, maybe you can relate, now, literally, that is where the main bulk of the conversation takes place. It's like honestly hard for me to get in contact with friends outside of like messaging them on Instagram. Or I should say it like, if I send them a text, it may take a week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month for them to get back to me. And honestly, I'm the same way, so I'm guilty. But if I send them a DM, they're gonna answer it like within 30 minutes, if not 30 seconds, okay? And I'm like, and it's not like one friend, right? It's like all my friends. So I'm like, dang. Well. And then it sucks personally for me because I'm not very big on social media. I don't really like it that much. The more popular ones, anyways. I find it really overwhelming. So for me, unfortunately, it's created this isolation, to be perfectly honest. Now, these are all friends, most of which I know really, really well and I've known for years. When it comes to connecting with new people, it's now the dilemma of even connecting or starting a friendship or something more with someone without giving them a social media handle, which is like, maybe no one just really wants to get to know me. I don't know. But what I have noticed is that if I connect with someone, and look, I know myself, like, I got a lot of flaws, but I can connect with people pretty well. I noticed that someone will connect with me. They'll be like, hey, we should keep in touch. We should hang out. We should blah, blah, blah. After, going back and forth of having like good conversation, good vibes, whatever. And I'll be like, yeah, cool, sure. And they'll be like, what's your Instagram? Or I'm going to give you my Instagram. And I'll be like, a little bit of a problem. I'm not that active on there. I can give it to you, but it might be like 2 months before I check your message if you do message me on there. Or I also don't post that much. And then what does the person say to me? They say like, oh, okay, well, that's okay. And I'll say like, I give you my number instead. Oh, that's okay. Or they'll take my number or whatever, but then never reach out. I'll text them and just nothing happens. This happens with continuity. So I don't know. Y'all, like, I'm like, I don't get it, man. This was not a problem for me like a year ago or 2 years ago or something like that. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's definitely like within the past 2 years. But like I would say like prior to the pandemic, this was not an issue. But with continuity, anyone who wants to like connect with me, they want to connect through social media. And I drop that on them that I'm not that active. And the same thing happens with dating too. The same thing happens with connecting with someone on a romantic level. And when I drop that, they gone. So I'm like, okay, what's up? I have literally had friendships not start. Friendships and relationships not start because of social media and end because of my lack of like interest in social media. And that I can't necessarily like hold the other person completely at fault because again, I'm just not that active. But it's crazy to me, like, basically that is the way in which you socialize in, this 2020 era, in the 2020s. And outside of that, people don't seem as interested. I'm not going to say that people aren't interested, but just not as interested in connecting and socializing. And I'm like, girl, what? Are you serious? And it's just so wild to me. And I feel like I would love to know if other people have this experience. And I feel like it's become more normalized. And um I don't really know what to do about it either. It's kind of one of those weird things where it's like, how do we even I'll never forget watching this like YouTube short. I forgot the guy's name. He's like low-key famous. Nick something. And he was saying that he's like, low-key hate social media. Can we just all quit social media but at the same time because I don't want to be alone? I'm like, felt that. 100% felt that. Like, but truthfully, I don't think there is any way in which this will shift. I think it's just the socialization of now and probably the future. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just inevitable. But some bad, unfortunately, does go along with it. And it's a whole lot harder to connect with people on a real level. And what I've realized is that for the people who really want to connect with you, they'll make an effort to connect with you. So when I've ran into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., people who say never mind because I'm not really that active on social media and I propose my phone number, what I'm actually dealing with isn't something wrong with me or even maybe necessarily them, but just this lack of genuine connection that they want to make. And I believe it's, again, not them or me, but just how we have normalized socializing in this day and age. We've normalized a surface level socialization. Literally, like, we've normalized it. And it's crazy because it's like, when I think back on those situations and people being like, oh, okay, never mind, I'm good. After proposing, giving my number, or that I'm not very active on social media. Normally I just say that instead of like proposing, giving my number. I realized that like I'm kind of the odd one out, unfortunately. I'm the one who really wants to connect like in person and go and do stuff, and I'm pretty big with hobbies and stuff, so it's like, you know, I like to do stuff, and I like to learn, and I like to connect with people on that level. So it's just so trippy. And it seems just so superficial, so artificial. And it's just wild. And I always wondered, I was like, so um if I did give you my social media, what, you were gonna like vet me before you decided if we could actually like take things to like actual friends or whatever? Like, I just feel like that's kind of like the approach that people are taking. That it's kind of like, I'm gonna like figure out your vibe and like basically prejudge you, exercise their prejudice before actually getting to know you. It's wild, y'all. I'm over it. I wish there really was, I wish there was something we could do about it. And if there is, should we like riot or something like that? I don't know. I don't even know. Because even, and these opinions that I'm sharing are stuff that other people share too. Like, I know I said, like, am I the only one? But no, like, straight up, so many people say, social media is like ruined socialization and friendships and all this stuff. And I have this one friend who we connected literally because she was saying how she was stepping away from social media, and I asked her why, and she was saying that, well, in general, she felt like she was living her life through the lens of her phone. And I'm like, that is so deep, girl. And many of us are. And I don't know about you, but I'm over it, okay? So, I don't know. I just really love the idea of like going to a coffee shop and meeting up with someone, or like going on hikes, or I don't know, going to an arboretum, like just whatever you're into, like let's just do it. But like, let's just not like be like sold out to social media all the time, or our phones, actually, I should say. Um, and another like weird like thing to layer onto that is the fact that when I do go out with friends and stuff, it's almost like, do we even go out if we don't take a picture? If we don't post it? And I'm like, listen, I do not like taking pictures. I do not take good pictures. Don't do this to me. I will cry. Don't do this to me. But it would happen. I don't know. It would happen so much, and I'm just like, I can't do this, y'all. This is just too wild to me. But I feel like social media is one side to it, and then the other side to it is just the phones, and how while we embrace being on our phones more, we detach a little bit more from society at large, the more we embrace being on our phones. It creates, in a general sense, this instant gratification feeling where we've created these little worlds in which we can be and thrive and all that stuff. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, other than the fact that it's really, really hard to kind of like interact with these little worlds and then put it down and go be a normal person. It's very, very, because of that instant gratification, it's very consuming. And it's like, oh, shoot, I could be on my phone like all day long and not even think anything of it. And I just feel like it really shouldn't even be that way. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I would also add that I feel like because of this shift in socialization, not only is it just like normal more to connect on social media or through the phone or whatever, rather than meeting up with a person, making plans with a person, it also has, like, how do I say it? I guess like created kind of a barrier with the idea of actually meeting up with a person. I noticed that as time has gone on, especially in my group chats and stuff like that, every single time you want to meet up, someone's like, oh, this came up, this came up, this came up, that came up. Let's cancel, reschedule, cancel, reschedule. There is literally no commitment. No commitment. Just this total attitude of just like, you know, we're just gonna drop the plans, change the plans, whatever, last minute, doesn't matter. And I'm not at all negating that there's stuff that comes up. I'm actually, to be honest, I'm kind of flaky myself. But I am trying to do better with that. I'm trying to stick to my word. Because I'll literally take the most minor of inconveniences and be like, oh, sorry, I actually have other plans that I forgot about. Other plans including me just being in my bed, okay? Those were the other plans that I forgot about. So it's just, I don't know, it's not good though. I'm not proud of that. And I'm doing better, I think. But I just feel like there's a lack of commitment attitude towards people. And maybe that has to do with the fact that we're so used to our phones and stuff that we even have just devalued, without necessarily meaning to, actual human connection. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm talking to someone over text or something, there is a bit of a disconnect versus if I have to call them or FaceTime them or something. There's a disconnect for sure. And you kind of, to a degree, miss that human aspect a little. Excuse me. So I don't know. I find that really an interesting thing to kind of sit with. And I feel like this is also true in like dating situation too, which I feel like I could do a whole video on that. But just like this attitude of like not like a very non-committed attitude, or almost like, you know, the idea that there's always something better around the corner. I feel like this is really shaped our socialization in some kind of negative ways. But curious to know what you think. Do you think is true? Do you think I'm being too harsh? Do you not even see this shift? I'm so curious to know what other people think. And is there any salvation for this? Is there any change? Is this just a problem that's just gonna continue to be a problem? I don't know. I'm curious.